The aftermath of our swift and decisive victory over the United States Navy has sent shockwaves rippling across the Pacific, shaking the very foundations of their society to their core. Not a single ship lost, not a single casualty suffered on our side. A testament to the skill and the determination of our sailors and the righteousness of our cause. But it is not just the physical toll of defeat that weighs heavy upon our adversaries, but the psychological blow dealt to their collective psyche. The once mighty United States, a nation accustomed to dominance and control, now finds itself humbled and vulnerable, its pride wounded, and its ambitions thwarted. In the corridors of power in Washington, there is much debate and discussion over the wisdom of pursuing war with China, with voices of dissent growing louder by the day. Isolationist sentiments, long dormant, now stir once more, fueled by the specter of defeat and the realization that perhaps their ambitions exceed their grasp. For me, this turn of events could not have come at a more opportune moment. The United States, distracted by internal strife and political infighting, poses less of a threat than ever before, allowing us to focus our efforts on the true enemies that lie before us.
Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome to episode 10. As you can see, we're jumping right into the editor this time around, because I think it's time to upgrade the UA phase. These battleships are old, but have proven themselves extremely valuable. Those 12-inch guns punch very hard. Especially against cruisers, they have the punch that I need. So, let's give these things another round of refits, and I know that some of you really like to see that. As technology has advanced, some of these turrets have gotten a bit big for their breaches, and as such, they don't fit anymore. So I'm going to have to try and put another turret in place, or move some other things around. My concern is that these things will not turn. Yeah, they will, but only slightly. Okay, they're going to have to sit over there, which still gives me that firepower. I'm going to put another turret on top, because that does seem to fit them quite well. As for engines, we now have geared turbines, we have oil for them, we can change their boilers to balanced, we can give them much better armor. They're still apparently sporting Harvey armor, which does make me very surprised about their actual ability to take damage. They have a 51% chance to flash fire. It's like these things have none of the modern gear. Like I didn't have that in 1914, which I find rather unlikely. But I guess it is possible. Range finding, let's give them stereos, radio. And the radio is more so that if they become a flagship, they still benefit the entire fleet with that flagship communications bonus. Now, as for torps, we have a torpedo launcher underwater. How many? Only port and starboard. Let's improve that to bow and stern as well. And with that, improve the type. Now, these are not likely to be sneakies. They don't really have to be. I think 9.5 kilometer range is okay, but I'm willing to give up a little bit more range to make them a bit less likely to get detected. So 7 kilometers should be fine for a battleship. These things are not particularly quick at 26 knots. If I want to do ambushes with them or brawls, this would be beneficial. 39 knots. Yeah, actually 39 knots is far better. Does make them more visible. Range is far less, but they can definitely surprise some ships. Now, improve their reload, improve their turret rotation speed. And actually, I can probably make these 22 inches. I can also improve this to T and T3 and give them 2 powder, and now my flash fire is only 6%. Let's improve that a bit more to 5%. Standard ratio. Give them... Actually, I can't give them heavy shells. Armor-wise, I think they're still well on par with the rest of the fleet. Especially with their improved armor, they should be able to use that 14-inch, 9-inch. They'll survive. As for my ability to turn... Well, that needs to change, because these things are not maneuverable. They have a turning circle of 743. And a... What's their turn speed? 1.33. 1.51. But now I'm slightly heavier than I ought to be. 5 months, damn. Oh well, if these ships can last another couple of rounds with that level of firepower, that's fine for me. Give them semi-ballistics, which still should be fine, especially against heavy cruisers. But I think I was sporting something like that. That makes more sense, considering the type of threat that I'm up against. Use cap ballistics for dealing with cruisers. I'm going to have to sacrifice some weight somewhere, so we're going to go back to a double hull bottom. Giving me a bit of tonnage. Maybe improve this to a 14-inch tower. And I think the rest of the ship is fine. I don't really feel like I need to max it out entirely. Maybe get some more speed on her, but these things are just not particularly quick. So, that's fine. It's the UFA 1919 refit. Apparently, tons has changed in 9 years. Although I still find it very hard to believe that they were using that old level of armor. Where's their previous version? Where's their predecessor? Because this is the base version. Surely they had something better than just Harvey armor. Right? Yeah, they had barbettes, they had anti-torps. It's like that didn't transfer over. Semi-ballistic shells, surprisingly. Okay. Well, at least now they're going to be able to go for a refit, and they will definitely last me a bunch longer. Interestingly, the Americans are now facing a revolution. The unrest became uncontrollably high after getting absolutely smacked around by the Chinese Navy in the previous episode. And the people do not trust Admiral Howard due to his, well, lack of naval prestige. I wonder how this is going to change the United States. Yeah, go figure. Japan warns for overspending. Yes, I would expect so, because they don't have a budget. Japan basically doesn't exist. Australia cancelled the alliance with the US because they had some negative events that affected their relationships. So did Arabia, so did Indonesia. Yeah, so basically, translation, you done fucked up, US, and we don't need to do anything with you anymore because apparently your fleet doesn't do that much. Now, I wonder what this is going to mean for the Americans. Apparently it doesn't hurt them economically, and they are already expanding their previously slightly shrunken DD fleet. They're still building another 34 ships. Yeah, I think these guys are gonna be fine. It's like they had a revolution, but it didn't seem to actually do that much. We got a convoy mission here. 2 light cruisers, the Mohammedy and the David Gray, against the Sims and the Fall River. Well, this is going to be interesting. That's a modernized heavy cruiser with a lot of secondaries. And that 6-inch gun has me concerned for the safety of these ships. But we go where we must. So the Mohammedy and the David Gray are going to have to fight it out with these ships, whether they want to or not. Weather conditions are not great, but that might actually benefit me. Whoops, because that means I might not really have to worry about my transports that much. It really depends on how well those American ships can see. Now, my ships, the David Gray and the Mohammedy, don't have that much armor. So those 6-inch guns are probably going to really pose a threat. And my guns with, what is that, semi-armor piercing? Yeah. They basically cannot do anything. What I'm going to try and do is just deal with that destroyer. That's my primary concern right now, because that's far too close for comfort. And if it torpedoes my ships, which it probably has by now, there it is. Should be fine with these ships, though. Good lord, this thing just refuses to turn at all. Okay, push in. I think the real... Oh, right amidships. No, it's a really slow torp. Oh boy, you got away really clean there. I think my only option for dealing with that heavy cruiser is rushing it with torpedoes. And I'm not sure if this is a modernized... No, I got one launcher. Alright, see if you can jam one of the torpedo launchers, or one of the torpedoes into that destroyer. I think you launched right through the wake. Yeah, here's the torp. Finally, we got a hit. Go to about half speed. Sims is out of torpedoes. Do you have a reduced complement? Yes. That does not mean that they're fully out, because they still got the side launchers. Those singular tubes. So those can still pose a threat. But at least the big torpedo launcher, the 3, is, well, not for my warships a threat. The transports are backing off, so that's fine. Okay, you're gonna chase down the Sims, and you, my friend, are gonna chase down the heavy cruiser. Dangerous as that is, especially without a smoke screen. Cancel that. Deal with the Sims first. My accuracy is just utter dog shit. Stereoscopic 2 rangefinder. If it wants to, it can launch a singular torpedo at the David Gray, and it will probably really hurt that ship. But it's just not doing it. Okay, come back. Increase speed to flank. I'm waiting for my smoke screen to come back. So maybe I can rush that heavy cruiser. Ah, good. We're getting some flooding on the DD. That should finish it off. The slow DD is a dead DD. And the Sims is noticing this very much. She's gone. So now we have a heavy cruiser to deal with. What? What? That's a torpedo you used to throw at the Sims and you hit the heavy cruiser? Wow. That is extremely favorable. I was not expecting anything like that. It does mean that the full river is far less maneuverable with all that water in her. Crew is okay. Crew loss is not that big of a deal. Spacious quarters? Damn, are they running all their ships with spacious quarters? Speed 30 knots on the light cruiser. Oh. Launch when available. We've got a bow launcher, right? Again, sort of a drive-by. So use the bow launcher, and then let's say continue on the course to port, and be able to throw out a torpedo along the starboard side. That might work. Yep, torpedo away. Where else do you have launchers? Because that was the starboard side. You also got bow sterns. Alright. Continue on your turn and use the starboard launcher as well. Light cruiser Gray. Continue on your course. Torpedo launchers denied. The Fall River is going to take another torpedo. She's 15 knots. She's really slow. She can see the torpedo coming, but she's completely unable to deal with it. And it's a dud. Yep, that's an option. That's an option. Price tag? 58 million. Yours was 84, but this is not a modernized version. It's a $65 million ship. It seems to have some issues with accuracy. Stereoscopic 3 rangefinder, though. Bit surprising. Well, how many blast through the turn? We use the starboard launcher on the Gray to get another torpedo into that ship. Just go aggressive. I really need you to launch. Thank you. Oh, hefty damage on the Gray here. Slow down, make a port turn. It's like a really slow fighter bomber, these light cruisers. Oh, are they dodging? Yep, they're dodging. No, they're not dodging. I really hope that they're going to list over that much that they can't actually continue firing. They got a second issue with engines. Oh god, the David Gray's basically dead. Oh, Mohammedi just launched another torp. It's a bit early. In case you're wondering about all these names on the ships, they're the names of my patrons and or YouTube members. And if you want to get your name on a ship, become a member at the NCO rank, and you can get your ship. You don't get to pick your ship, I just get to pick basically whatever ship happens to come up. If there is a ship available, I might be able to swap a name around, but also please keep in mind that I am recording these videos usually at least a week, and generally more in advance. So if you don't immediately see your name on a ship, that is why. Mohammedi, I really need you to pull through right now. That is not it. Oh, torpedoes! Oh! Well, that actually didn't do that much damage. Go aggressive. Come on, use that starboard launcher. Use the starboard launcher! Turn the launcher! Because soon I won't have a ship. Ooh, I don't think I'm gonna win this one. We're definitely dealing some damage to her, but yeah, she's going down. Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna feast on my transports next. What I find a bit weird about the game is that my ships are AI managed and I cannot control them. But probably because they are... Well, no, they're not even armed. The battle doesn't end here. So I'm now going to end the battle or leave the battle. And I might actually do some damage to that ship. At least she'll have medium damage, I think. Potentially heavy. And this is exactly what I mean. Somehow, the Fall River actually sank. It did give the US more victory points, but I don't have to worry about another one of their heavy cruisers in my territory. Which, of course, means that my transports are just that little bit safer. As for the invasions, well, that will take a while. I do still have another US... Well, a couple of US ships here. What's all this? Oh, it's a little... There are some German ships around. Shall we have a chat with the Germans? I cannot have a peace treaty. You're not invading anything, are you? Hold on. No, the Germans... I was worried. Are the Germans invading Wei Hai Wei? But they're not. So they're here for me. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I am briefly unavailable. As my ships are undergoing refits. Which will, in some time, or in some cases, take them 2 months. In some cases, just take them 1 month. The Enigma Hunts from 1917, the Aura 1917. No, I don't have any upgrades for that. Let's delete this upgrade. Or refit, rather, but, well, in essence, it's an upgrade. How are we doing with big guns? I now have access to the Mark 1, Mark 1, Mark 1. I would love a Mark 3 14-incher or Mark 3 15-incher. That's gonna probably take me a long time. As for further hull construction, this is not really doing much. We're gonna be getting the Dreadnought 4 generic, which somehow makes the base Dreadnought 4 obsolete. Cruisers, what are we getting? Advanced Battlecruiser 5. Great, but I need better guns. I'm just gonna prio guns for a bit. We're getting Stereo 4 range finding. That's really good. Let's prio that as well. I'm going to start tying rangefinders to guns and just focusing on that for a while. And yes, I know that will come at the expense of some other parts, but that's fine for now. Time for a little payback against one of my convoys. Previous one with the light cruiser didn't go that well, so this one against 3 destroyers does need to go well. I have 3 destroyers, they have 3 destroyers. They have 4.1 inch guns, 3.3 and 1.8. They also have a lot of torpedo launchers there. So ideally, I will not see any of their torpedo launchers by just cutting in front of them and not having to worry about their ability to launch torps. I might throw a torpedo at there myself, at least from one of my DDs, to just throw them off a little bit. And considering that they're all more or less lined up, that might give me some options. It might actually, accidentally as well, give me a hit. Let's torpedo the second ship in line. There's the rest of the torps out. Good. I am expecting them to detect those. And considering that they are following the lead ship, it is unlikely to hit. But who knows? A torpedo is better left in the water than stuck on your ship, as you don't actually get any hits. Now, speaking of hits, their damage control, or sorry, their main tower has been damaged. Destroyed, even. That's going to really hamper their damage control efforts and their accuracy. They are aware of the torpedoes. But whether they'll actually be able to dodge all of them, that remains to be seen. Now, this thing appears to be mostly ablaze. They are losing their buoyancy. Their torpedo launchers were destroyed, so as close as these guys have gotten, I'm not that concerned. That very narrowly cut across their stern. Over here, it's looking quite good. We might be able to get a hit on their stern. Nope. Amidships then. Please don't be a dud. Boom! 28,000 points. That's the stuff. We are looking at an enemy torpedo, but that thing is launching very defensively. And it's just pointing the torpedo launcher straight ahead. I am not going to be there. How's that DD doing? Yeah, not very hot. Not very hot. This thing should be going down. Are my transports pitching in? Yes. The transports have 4.2-inch guns. Hold up. Hold up. The transports even have torpedo launchers. Damn. We got Q ships over here. They're disguised. Disguised as harmless, or, well, somewhat harmless. But in essence, they can probably be really quite deadly. What's the range on those? 8.9? Yikes. It's a good thing they're a little outranged, otherwise I might be dodging the torpedoes launched by my allies. It's not unheard of, considering how the AI sometimes, well, gets a little trigger happy with their torpedoes. These poor DDs don't stand a chance. 6.4k. Oh, sorry, 6.4 million. They're old. They appear to be relatively slow. And they've done 80 points of damage against the Mrotham with one hit. Okay. So, this complete victory. Now, I am considering getting a new light cruiser out here, because the light cruisers, the ones that I have, as you have seen, they didn't do that well. So, seeing as I now have access to the scout cruiser, I think it's interesting to get a new cruiser design. Because I tend to just overlook light cruisers, but they can be very valuable ships, depending on how you build them. And considering that the light cruisers with the BrotherMunro mod might have more options, I think we should have a look. When it comes to light cruisers, we have options. We got the Light Cruiser 5, displacing about 7,500 tons. I am mostly looking at what level of speed they can get, because I'm intending to use these as either, let's say, big destroyers, so armed with torpedo launchers and rushing a ship about 5 times their size, or as a ship that is capable of hunting down destroyers. Now, a 94 hull form is very hard to beat. It's definitely not going to be these armored cruisers, because that's 21 knots. This is 26. This is 32. And over here we have 29. I am curious about the price tag, because I believe that the scout cruisers were extremely expensive. This is 20 million. 9 million. Oh, it's not nearly as expensive as I thought. Okay. Now my DDs are displacing what? Like 1,800? So I want to have these... Yeah, let's displace max tonnage. 13 million for about 5,800 tons. But that is before all the upgrades. Speed, 32 knots. If this is what you can do, this is what you will run at. Engines, turbines, crypt armor. Give them relative good levels of survivability, without ideally making them extremely expensive. Better steering, an unbalanced rudder for faster turning. And, well, this is going to give me acceleration, but also turn rate, so let's get this in as well. Okay, depth charges, not required. What type of firepower do I want on this ship? What type of firepower? Right, so that doesn't fit amidships, but it does fit towards the back. Where the ship is even sleeker. Okay. Doesn't have to make sense. This is Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. That other tower... That other tower has exactly the same problem. Okay, fine, you'll sit here. This does make it a bit more difficult to fit guns on this ship. Especially as I cannot move the main tower back. So we're gonna have to put guns like amidships, which is not really where I would want them to go. But I guess that might open up the position for more torpedoes. Guns-wise, we get Mark 4 6-inchers, and I think that in case of hunting down destroyers, that is perfect. So we'll use that. 6-inch, single barrel. Really? I don't think so. Engine efficiency is a bit low. Let's go to forced boilers. Let's go to barbettes. I can add a second funnel for better engine efficiency, which could come in very handy when I'm trying to re-accelerate the ship. Yeah. See, this is when it gets a bit annoying. I guess we're going to have to use... You know what, come to think of it, I can just use a standard barbette. So 6-inch... Oh, I cannot use a standard barbette. There. I can use this here. That barely fits on the ship. Barely. Will that even turn? No, come on, give me the gun. No, not the barbette. Oh, now the gun's turned sideways. Come on. Barbette and gun. Will you or will you not... Good lord, you're annoying. Will you or will you not turn? No, you're gonna run into this... What if I increase the beam by like 5%? Is that gonna give me more options for that stupid secondary tower? It isn't? What about a standard rear tower? This is aiming 5.5. This is aiming 8. 6 base accuracy, 2.8. That's a shitty tower, but for the design that I want, I think it's actually better. Wait, what? You're making it look like I can put those things on the sides? Can I do that with these? No. Unfortunate. So what do you want me to put on the sides then? Because it's not these things either. I don't know. Yeah, sure. If I would actually be able to build that, I would. Like... Just stick them out the side of the ship. We don't care. That is considered super firing. Good. Now, torpedo launchers. Let's go with a couple of batteries here. And these are going to be sneaky torps. Increased complement. 24-inch. Yes, please, sir. And I'll take electrics. This is a fairly expensive ship at 41 million, but we're going to have to experience whether that's worth it. I mean, it's still half the price of a heavy cruiser. It's essentially a really big DD at this point. And I'm fine with that. Because what I needed to do, which is hunt down destroyers, it can do. And as for the rest, it can most definitely deal with battleships. 8.5 kilometers out might be somewhat limited, but a 24-inch projectile slamming into the side of a ship, any ship, yeah, that'll work. Now, unfortunately, armor, that's still the weak spot of these things. And I think it will continue to be, because you cannot put more than 2.9 inches of armor on this ship. So it's fragile. It's vulnerable. Can I put any 2 inches anywhere? I can. That's neat. I can also go with one for a rangefinder. That's half a point of... This is actually damage control. Huh, okay. Yeah, that could be very useful against DDs, those additional 2.9s. Now, considering I'm hunting DDs, I'm not really going to spend anything on using very high-end guns. A DD is going to have, like, what, 0.9 inches of armor? So semi-ballistic shells should be perfectly fine. That's what I need on this ship. That's enough. TNT, 2 powder. Increased AP complement. As for dealing with other ships, like I can go soft capped, but basically gives me as much with HE. So no thank you. We'll just take incendiary. Flash fire chances, 1.6, perfectly survivable. I do need to improve the reload and the turret rotation speed. And now I'm slightly over. So let's reduce the main deck by 1 point. That should be fine. Can I increase this? Oh, that's the aft belt. No, main deck, foredeck. There. Okay, I think that's the new ship. It's not particularly special. It's basically a big DD with a couple of secondaries and 8 torpedo launchers. But what it does is allow me to chase down enemy destroyers. It allows me to do that at good speed with more survivability than a DD would do it. Because the new Tyans, I mean, they're capable ships. They also have torpedo launchers, but this thing is just a bit more capable at hunting down destroyers. Save that design. And, well, if my shipyards aren't too busy, I'd like to build a couple. Just to have a couple of these additional ships out there. Now, let's build a couple, let's say 4 of these. They might also be very, very good at commerce raiding. But, well, at the moment, I'm not so sure there's a whole lot of commerce to raid. Right, that'll be it for the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your thoughts are down below, and I'll see you soon for the next one.